everyone. If the picture didn't give it away already, we're the Griggs. We're missionaries in Peru. I'm Josh. It's my wife, Charity.
Hello. Can you say your name?
Hello. Hello. Driver. My name is Gracie and I'm 5. My name is Jaira and I'm 3.
So we got Gracie and Jaira. Jaira is our little Peruvian. You can go ahead. He was born. We went to Peru to do an internship, and Jaira was born during our internship. So he's a little dual citizen, and he's actually the reason we're able to be in Peru legally. First of all, we want to thank you guys a bunch for praying for us. I know that there's some prayer warriors here that have us in mind often. And then also just want to thank you for supporting us financially as well. What we're going to do this morning, we're kind of going to share a little bit about us and kind of the journey that's taken us to Peru. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing in Peru as well. So Charity's going to share a little bit of her testimony, and then I'll share a little bit of mine, and then we'll show you some pictures of what we've been up to the last couple years. So Charity, you'll take it away first.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Again, just thankful for this opportunity to be here. One of the words in the song we just sang was like, Jesus is our healer, or healing is in his hands, something like that. So that gives me comfort in the way that I can share my testimony. And even though there's things I'm not proud of, Jesus is my healer, and he changes everything, so I can talk about it with joy even. I was very blessed to be raised in a Christian home. My father was a pastor. My mother was a school teacher. There's a whole bunch of us, 4 boys and 4 girls, so big family. Enjoyed that very much. Love that. I don't know if anybody here would recognize, but Pierre and Kay Johnson are my grandpa and grandma. And they actually used to come to this church back when it first began, even being a church here in Mesquite. Anyway, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I went to Awana's, and there was a guest speaker or somebody who came and talked about heaven and hell. And I remember as a young girl just being very scared, like I did not want to go to hell. And I knew that I had done bad things, whether it was lying or fighting with my brothers or whatever it was. I knew that I had done wrong and that I did not want to go to hell. So I went home that night pretty scared, and I went and talked to my older brother Caleb and said, hey, are you gonna go to hell? And he was like, no. And so I was like, how do I not do that either? And he was like, I remember him being so excited and happy that I was interested, but he himself wasn't, because he's only 3 years older than me, and so he wasn't really sure how to make sure I did it right or something. And so he's like, you have to go talk to Dad. And I was kind of nervous because usually my dad's office meant I was in trouble or, things like that. But the next day I did go and talk to my dad. And I really appreciate that he actually opened up the Bible, and I could read, somewhat at that age. And so I remember reading John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whoever believes in him will not perish, so I wouldn't have to go to hell, but have eternal life. And so, that's my favorite part of my memories of coming to Christ, is knowing that it was from God's word and that Jesus died for me so that I could have a way to go to heaven. However, I don't think my knowledge was very deep at that time, and it took years later for me to grow in my understanding of what the gospel really meant. Fast forward a few years, I went to a really good Christian school. Looking back, I was very just rebellious and didn't appreciate it like I should have. And so about high school, maybe 7th grade, it really started being more just caring about popularity, caring about what the boys thought, and my whole world just became basketball. Like, I loved playing basketball, and just kind of started, I guess lying to myself, lying to my parents, lying to my family, and going to parties and sneaking out and being this good pastor's daughter in church, all the things, when I needed to be. But in my heart, I was somewhere else, and I was just becoming more and more rebellious, really. So, after high school, I went to college to play basketball and to study sports medicine. And then that was only like one semester, and I dropped out and moved back to Denver, Colorado, and just started working, I think, at a call center first. But anyway, slowly things just, again, I get so nervous and weird when I have to talk about this. We are all sinners, and I started making really bad decisions, and I was living with a guy, and I was going to the bar every weekend, and then I was smoking weed, and then I was doing harder drugs, and then one thing led to another, and then I lost my job, and I lost my car, and I lost any communication or trust with anyone in my family. The crowd that I was running around with, when you're an addict, you do very desperate things, and you start stealing stuff, and you start getting in trouble with the law, and you start just becoming this existence of a person that is literally leading to death. Like, you have nothing good going for you. But through all of that, Jesus never gave up on me. And that's the point where I want to say, like, he is my healer. Like, he came and found me and took me back. And he never gave up on me, even though I totally ran away from him. I didn't care about anything about him or what I had been raised in. I was a dirty, rotten sinner, and he still loved me. And stick to my notes a little bit. So that was over 10 years ago now, that I have surrendered my life to just follow Christ. And so during the time where I was running away from him, I know that my mom, she is an amazing woman of God. And she was always praying for me, always wanting me to turn back, always there, even though we didn't talk to each other for a few years. So my mom and my Grammy Kay, and at that time, she was still in this church. So at least some of you here, my mom, my grandma, and this church were praying for me. And I really believe that there's power in that, and that Jesus was not giving up on me, even though I was ignoring him a lot because of those prayers. So thank you. And there was this one day, long story short, I was homeless, and I walked into a library, and I was just hanging out there. And there was this older man who came and sat down next to me, and I was like, this is weird, I'm uncomfortable, literally scooted away from him. And then, I don't know, somehow he continued talking to me, and he was like, what are you doing here? In different words, but you look horrible. This is not what life is meant to be. And I was just frustrated and thought he was this weird man following me around. And so I got up and went outside of the library and just standing on the sidewalk, and he followed me. And I was like, oh man, whatever, just frustrated. But he looked me in the face, and it was I don't know, he was an angel, or the Lord used him in the spirit in that day to tell me, I will forgive you no matter what. And he was like, Jesus loves you, and he's gonna forgive you. It doesn't matter what you've done, where you've been, all these things. And I had this mindset, even though it was wrong, that because I had been raised in a Christian home, because I knew things of the Bible and I was taught from a really young age, that somehow I was on a different kind of, he wouldn't want to forgive me because I had known better. But I had this feeling he does want to forgive the guys I've been with or the crowd that I was running around with and all my friends who were even prostitutes or whoever, like, I felt like God would want to forgive them because they didn't know better. But I thought that I should have known better. But anyway, that day at the library, that guy told me, God will forgive you for anything. And like I hadn't cried in a couple years, just numbness and shallow, like almost not human existence on meth and drugs and things I was doing. And so, again, Jesus is my healer, and I knew that he really would forgive me. And it took a couple more months for me to finally have the courage to, I had so much shame and guilt that I was like embarrassed to ever even call my dad or say sorry or go home or something. So it took me stubbornly a couple more months before I finally was like, I have to, like, I need to. I have the family. I was able to call someone. Yeah, so wound up moving back home to my parents, and my mom, again, was just amazing. She was always there. She taught me how to just talk to God about things that I was fearful of, things that I was feeling dirty about, things that I had done that I needed forgiveness. And so I did. I called out to the Lord and asked for forgiveness. There was weeks and months of just physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, like, hard. Yeah, but she helped me through all of that. And I know that the Lord did forgive me. He has forgiven me, and I can stand here today and in honor of that, knowing that he has forgiven me. Yeah, so I was moved back home. I went to a program called Celebrate Recovery, which was also very good. And I started reading the Bible for myself for like the first time in my life. And it was just so like, I don't know, like I craved it, I needed it, I was growing and just desiring it. So I started in the book of John, and again, just all about Jesus. Like that's what changes life. And less than a year later, my oldest brother, he died, and then I remember being so angry, like just angry, and I couldn't tell if I was just angry at God or at myself for being so pulled back to relapsing or not. And so I didn't, and I decided to go to Bible school instead. And so that was a huge turning point in my life. And I went to Frontier School of the Bible. It's a little place in Wyoming. And I think some of the youth group and stuff, like you guys have a little bit of connection to Frontier, so you know it's a great Bible school. And there I just was able to put a lot of time and energy into reading the Word, and it was so, so filling and so amazing to just know that I could truly trust the Word of God, that my brother actually is in heaven. It's a real place. It's not this comforting thing. Yeah, just loved Frontier. So the first spring break there was, I signed up on a mission trip to go to Utah. My Grammy Kay's whole family is very, very Mormon, and I didn't really know anything about them. So I went on this trip and just realized how much false Jesus there is out there. And I really wanted to tell people the true Jesus heals us, he saves us, he changes us, like whatever. So I had this desire to be in missions ever since that first trip to Utah. And the Lord has blessed me with getting married to Josh, my husband, in 2017. And then he came to Frontier as well. And so we decided to step into missions. And we did a few trips. We went overseas. He'll tell you a lot more details. But now our heart is to go to those people who are unreached and share the gospel. And after our school at Frontier, then we moved to Peru, and we'll tell you more about that in a minute too. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's hard to follow. Yeah, I also grew up in a pretty big family. I guess before I start, I want to kind of talk about how we got connected here. Charity graduated from Frontier like maybe 2 years before I did. And at her graduation in Cheyenne, Charity's grandma in the middle there, she was with us. And Pastor Craig was up on the stage. He's like part of the board or something. But like the way I saw him was like he's like this big official Bible school guy up there in his suit and tie. And Grandma Kay, after the graduation, Grandma Kay went down to the stage to say hi to him. And there's a big stage, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot off the ground just to drop off. And he like basically jogged over there when he saw her and got down on his hands and knees and gave her a big hug and just like loved her. And I actually cried when I saw it because that was like the most beautiful picture of a pastor loving his people that I had seen. So I had to brag on him a little bit there. And then when he was up to Frontier, we had him over to tell him that. Him and Jeff Bird came to our house, and Charity shared her testimony with them. And they were like, wait, you're the granddaughter that we were praying for? So it was a really special connection, just kind of to lead up to that. I also grew up in a big family, Christian family. Have a lot of similar stories. I've heard the gospel since I was knee-high to a pop can. And yeah, I was a rodeo cowboy. That was my whole world. Trusted Christ when I was pretty little, eight or so. There was times I wanted to serve the Lord. There was times that all I wanted to do was ride bucking horses and bulls, and that's got to be where that's all I cared about. Went to college in Oklahoma. Well, I guess back up a little bit. We lived in the mountains. My dad in the Black Hat, he got kind of sick, and we moved down to the plains because it was easier for his health. And he started looking for a church, found the church that Charity's dad pastored. So we met when we were 11 and kind of we were like playground sweethearts. Knew each other a little bit through then. Kind of middle of high school, toward the end of high school, she started kind of doing dumb in her way, which she shared about. Went this direction in the world. I was doing dumb in my own way and went this direction in the world. And I never thought I'd see her again. The bit that I did hear about her, I figured I'd get invited to her funeral, honestly. I got pretty far off into the world. The rodeo world can get pretty wild, and I did all of that. Got to a place where I didn't really care about much anymore. I didn't try to die, but I didn't have much to live for. I did not expect to get emotional this morning during communion, but a little bit of how God got a hold of me. There was I played a while in my life like the church game, and I liked the image of being a good Christian guy. I even led a Bible study, but if you'd have put me and Jesus in a room, I wouldn't even know what to say with him. There was no realness to my life. I was living with a girl at the time, and I knew I was living in sin, but I chose those things over real life with Jesus. There was September. There was 2 suicides pretty close in our family. My brother and I were running a ranch, and we lost that. And then my mom offered to get me arrested, and I said, if this is what being a Christian is, I want nothing to do with it. And I went just totally, I went full stupid and lived in the kind of the party world. I was pro rodeoing at the time and got to a pretty low spot. A friend of mine invited me to a men's conference in South Dakota. At that conference, they did this thing called the Lion Games, and I was very competitive at the time. But we did this thing called the Lion Games, and it was like a crucifixion reenactment, and it was all timed. So we were the first team, we were the yellow team, and it was like this whole course. So it was in the Black Hills, and it was in February or so, and there was, I don't know, a foot of snow. But somebody had to climb a tree and get a bandana. There's a team of maybe 8 or 10 guys. Get this bandana that represented our color, come down. We went to this big log pile, and we had to get these little sappy pine logs carry them to this field and then nail them together with this big rebar stake to make a cross. Before everything, they had this white sheet with a cross drawn on it with pencil, and then we all wrote something in pencil on that sheet that we wanted to give God, and I don't remember what, probably Copenhagen or something. But we took that sheet, made this cross, and we nailed the, well, how was it? First, there was a paintball gun. We had to have 39 shots with a paintball gun. So you held the sheet over your back like this, and then it was 39 shots with a red paintball gun, kind of to represent the lashings. And this one guy, it was like blood and paint. It was a mess. And then we nailed this sheet on the cross, on the sides and the bottom. And then we all had to take turns with an axe and chop this sheet up with an axe 39 times. And it's all timed, and all I could think about was like, let's win this thing, let's move, let's go. And I didn't even think anything of it. And then we carried this cross through an obstacle course up to the hill in the snow, and there was all these leaders yelling stuff and verses, and at the time it was like, shut up, we're trying to win. And then that was all I could think about. They nailed a bag of grape juice, a Ziploc bag full of grape juice in our yellow bandana, and nailed it up at the top of the cross. And then to end the time, we stood that cross up, and then our team leader had this spear. And as soon as he had to stab that bag of grape juice with the spear, and then as soon as he did that, the leaders just said, all right, it's finished. And then everybody just stood still, like that was the end of time. And that bag of grape juice popped, and it was dripping all over the sheet, and then on the snow, all over this tattered sheet. And I don't know what made the difference, because I had heard the gospel since I was really little. But whenever I saw that, it hit me like a ton of bricks what Jesus paid for me, even though I hated him. Like I hated God, and he paid that for me. That wrecked my whole world. That was the same kind of deal. He healed me from the inside out, and I was like a crazy person. Like I had to tell people about it. It's like the real Jesus can change everything, and he did for me. I was still rodeoing about that time. I was heading from a rodeo in Nebraska to Utah, and decided to stop off and see Charity's younger brother, because we used to be friends, the tall one in the middle. He's in the Army now. But stopped off to see him, and Charity was there, which surprised me, because she wasn't even welcome home, you know. And I saw her, and I started to leave, but she saw me. And she came up to me, and before I left, she gave me a hug, and she said, I'm sorry for the way things went when we were kids, and I don't know where you're at with rodeo and everything, but Jesus is real, and he can change your life. And it was like, who is this girl? She's not anything like what I remembered her. Long story short, we were walking in the same direction, and so we decided to walk together. So we got married in 2017. She went to Bible school, and I was working in Texas. I was like, you should come to Texas. And she's like, I'm going to go to Bible school in Wyoming. And I was like, that's the wrong direction. So she was going to Bible school there, learning a bunch. Spring break came around. I was like, you should come to Texas. And she's like, I'm going to go on a mission trip to Utah. And again, it was like, you're going the wrong direction. But in my mind, I think I even told her, it was like, you're getting kind of arrogant with this Jesus following thing. Like a mission trip isn't just for people like us. Like that's for really special Christians or something. And she was like, well, I don't know. It's the cheapest one on the list, and I'm going to do it. And so she went to Utah, shared her testimony on the radio, and did a bunch of things. And it was like, wow, like if she can do that, I can do that. And I signed up for a trip to Nicaragua with my little church in Texas. And I got to go on that trip. My pastor and I were with these translators. We were going door to door in this little village. And I had my Bible, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, because he's sharing the gospel with literally everyone. We get up to this street that kind of tees, and he said, you go with the translator and finish that side. I'll go this way, and we'll meet on the other side in the park. And I thought he was joking. And then he's like, and then he left. So I was like just shaking and terrified and sweating like you wouldn't believe. Knocked on this door, and was like, can I tell you about Jesus? And fumbled through the gospel, couldn't find passages, and it was like, Jesus died for you, and he loves you, and he can give you life. And then I look up, and I was like, so if you want to trust Jesus, that you can do that right now. And this guy is crying in his doorway, and he's like, I want to do that. And I was like, are you sure? It's like, it doesn't work like that. But anyway, this guy trusted Christ right there that day, and that just totally changed my world, because it was like, God can use me. And it was like an overwhelming realization of like, I know how God saved me. I know how Christ saved me. And I don't know why, because I wouldn't have made that trade. Still wouldn't. But it was like, he can use me, even after everything I've drug his name through. So anyway, that went on that trip. We went to Bible school. We got married. We were in Bible school 2-3 weeks later. We got to go on a trip together to Guatemala to look at kind of working in an orphanage there. And that was kind of a mess, and we didn't do it. Second year of Bible school, I kind of realized I was really content and happy with just talking about doctrine, talking about sharing the gospel and not actually doing it. And I had basically decided my soul couldn't afford to just be talking about ministry and not being about it. So we quit for a little bit, went to North Africa, to a Muslim country where we got to learn a lot about missions. It was like a missionary boot camp. That was kind of our goal, was to end up in the 1040 window, where with either in India or North Africa. We decided to do an internship in Peru. A study I saw showed if you get out of your cultural norm with a different language, different food, different climate, you learn how to do that and survive. You can apply that in anywhere that's a different culture, climate, language, food, all that. So we decided to do a 1-year internship, and then our plan was the 1040 window. We did our internship in Tarapoto, Peru. During that internship, we found out about all these unreached people groups in Peru, in the jungles, and so we decided to come back and investigate that, and then ultimately we stayed. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit about us and how we got to where we're at. Talked way more than anticipated, so we'll kind of just buzz through a little bit of what we're doing now. I guess since a radical change from Christ, the whole goal of life is to share the real life-changing Jesus with people that don't know the real life-changing Jesus. I personally don't think it matters where you do that. It's one mission, and it doesn't matter where you do that. But anyway, we found out about all these people in Peru, so we've been kind of working on sharing with them. And we got to go kind of quick.
Okay. Yeah, I love this verse that says we are ambassadors for Christ, and it's God making his appeal through us. So quick little thing out there. That's all of us, any of you, every single one of you. God can make his work happen through you, and it's not as much pressure like on ourselves. It's just letting him do it through us.
Yeah. We did our internship with a church plant. It was in a house at the time in the city of Tarapoto, Peru. Pretty big city. We worked primarily in the church. Now we're going to some of the further places. We still live in the city of Tarapoto in a pretty nice apartment. It's kind of our nest or something. So we take a lot of trips and go do stuff for like a week up to a month, and then we come back home and kind of like a little R&R there. But we're mostly in the jungle and a little bit in the mountains.
Just again, we go to all these villages and we see a lot of things that are less sanitary and more difficult and stuff that is hard. But again, I just know that Christ is with us and that he will protect us and that he will, open the doors for us to share. Just keep rolling. We don't have time.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yes. Okay. Good deal. So this picture here, we got to host our first mission trip from our home church in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they came for a week, We did a lot of evangelism and some outreach things at an orphanage in several villages, and it was a huge encouragement. In February, we got to help host a group of young people from Missouri. They came to Tarapoto for 3 weeks. We kind of showed them around the city, got them really uncomfortable doing different things, and they jumped in and served. And it was a really good opportunity to disciple American kids in Peru in our context.
And they got to help out teaching an English class, so they were helpful in that way.
Mm-hmm. See if you guys can pick out our little half-naked kids running around in the jungle there. So this is a place called Ujpayaku. This is there's an orality Bible school. So the last couple years, things have shifted in our ministry to where we're doing a lot more teaching of indigenous pastors. So they'll come down from really high up river villages. They'll come to kind of a central location, and we can do some training, Bible teaching, to kind of help prepare them to go back out. And then they're reaching neighboring villages, and there's way more details than we can share. But yeah, this monkey is a pet monkey. The rest of the monkeys are food monkeys. We are working now primarily with the Shawi tribe. They're only like maybe 3-4 hours from where we live, just over the mountain on the other side. I had the opportunity to go upriver and help teach through the book of Genesis in a week. And this is the pastor and his wife in the village that we were in. And then in her hand is an audio Bible, because most of the Shawi women don't read or write. A lot of the men don't either. But we were able to get the Bible in her language in audio in that picture.
Mm-hmm. This is another, oh, I thought it was Chontal. So there was 3 students from Frontier School of the Bible that came for 6 weeks. So that was kind of a longer trip to host them. But they were super helpful. They were like actually knowing the gospel and able to help and teach like more than the Link Year group did. But yeah, they helped Josh build like a church building, which is really just a roof. There's this lady named Nilda who lives in this little community, and first she would like leave to go to a closer city where they had a church, and she would try to go every Sunday, and it was just a lot of work to travel back and forth and be by herself. So she decided that she would just stay in her village and basically try to have little meetings, and a lot of kids would come, and there just wasn't really any other believers. And so she was there at least 2.5 years, just really discouraged and feeling alone. And the pastor at her other church had talked with Josh and said, you guys should go there, you should go live there, or you should encourage her. So we started at least visiting her, and that's how they got the contact to build the roof for them. And the intern boys that came were able to help him build it. So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. They were a big encouragement. We get to do ministry in the mountains near Cusco. Every year we try to go about a month, do some Bible teaching and stories and some evangelism. So this is a little bit of when we were in the mountains there near Cusco. CBT is Community Bible Church, so this is the church that we're involved with. This is the church we did our internship with. When we moved there to do our internship, there was like 2 families. So a lot of times it was like us, the other missionaries, and then these 2 families. And since then it's really grown. And so we were able to, while we're in the city, we're really involved with the church still. So we were able to do a family camp. I preach in the church probably every once a month or 6 weeks, just because we're traveling so much. But this is the church family that we have while we're in Peru.
Which is a really great, like, foundation or, like, safe spot to come back to. Yeah, we go out to some farther places, and I think maybe it's not as big of a struggle for Josh as it is maybe for me as a mom of little kids, and I'm just like always worried about their health and safety, and like just being so far away from town and stuff, it makes me nervous. But again, the Lord is so good, and He has given me grace to understand that, like, if it's our time, it's our time. I'm not going to be stupid about it, but like to trust Him more and to know that like we are there for a reason. And yeah, again, just like He's doing His work through us. So that gives me comfort knowing that He is with us. And it's just nice to be able to go for a week or however long, depending on the month where we go. And then to be able to come back to the city of Tarapoto, where right now we are living like where we live. I say that kind of funny because when we go back to Peru this time, in January, we're going to be spending a lot more of our time like over this mountain pass 3 hours away in another city that has a lot less things, and it will be farther away from our home church that we've had the last 4 years. Yeah, so we're trying to pray and think through how much time to stay over there, or do we travel back and forth, 3 hours over these crazy mountains to still be connected in Tarapoto. Anyway, pray with us through that for wisdom and timing and stuff.
Yeah, so we'll be spending a lot more time this coming year teaching in this place. This is the discipleship center in a little town called Munichis with the Shawi tribe. Yeah, there's like 2 levels of discipleship: basic discipleship for new believers, and then like entrenamiento, leadership too. And so that's every other month, and they come for a week, and we're going to be there a lot more. Yeah, that's the stuff. So you got a couple of bonus minutes there. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We got a little table out there if you guys want to get email updates. We do updates every 2-3 months in there. We tried for every month for a while, and that's just not realistic. But we do every 2-3 months, and then there's some cards and stuff out there. If you guys would like to get email updates, just write your email. Thank you for listening and hanging in there with us, and we love you guys, and we pray for you as a church every day, actually. So, and thank you for praying for us.
Thank you. Again, where's the table? Right out those doors? Okay, right outside those ones. All right. Let me, I'll pray and the music team can come on up. But Father, thank you for our time here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to hear not only what you're doing in other parts of the world, but in the lives of your children. Thank you for what was shared here this morning, and I do ask your blessing upon Josh and Charity and family as they will be stateside a few more weeks here, but then return. Again, just thank you for the extremes that you go to make your son known in the world. Ask your blessing upon the rest of our day now, our closing song. Thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.